I spilt my protein everywhere.
Oh, fuck.
People are constantly raising the bar. Sacrifices need to be made.
What would you guys say are your biggest weaknesses? You or your enemy right now?
Is success a lie?
Just a fucking podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to the Student Side Hustle. This week I am with Josh Bridgeman and Thomas Moore, TMCYCLES. Guys, it's been a while since I had you guys on. I had you guys on episode 35 for Josh and episode 45 for TM. So it's been quite a while, but what has happened with you guys in the last 6, however long it's been, months?
Go on, Josh.
Yeah.
Go first.
Yeah, I've been ill. I've been going through the wars a little bit. I pulled I did something to my tendon in my pec, which kind of put me out from pressing for about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But I moved around it. Everything else moved around it pretty well. I finally got back to kind of full strength with that, and then my appendix kind of played up a little bit, and I had to go in for an operation last week. So
Yeah, fuck.
So I'm now on that recovery. I'm on one week in, and I'm feeling a lot better. So recovery after recovery, but things are still moving well.
Yeah, it's definitely like that. When I saw that, I was like, oh, fuck. Like the pec injury, and then you get nailed with this. It's like, oh, fuck. That's bad.
It is what it is. We roll with our punches. Roll with our punches.
You gotta do what you gotta do, but... Right, you TMC, what you been up to the last 6 or
I've been
so months?
I've been grafting away. Contest is next weekend, next Saturday. I've been grafting away with the diet and the training, and meeting up with Josh a couple of times as well to train, which has been absolutely fantastic. It's been a massive help during the contest. To be totally honest with you, it's been really good. Nice to see Josh and nice to get a second opinion of how things are going as well. And he's seen me probably when was Kings, Josh? Like was it 8 weeks out?
That's right. Yeah, maybe a bit more. 9 or 8 weeks out.
Recently.
Yeah, and then closer with pro.
I definitely, the content you guys have been making, especially the last, like, ever since I've been watching, it's all been on point, and it's all been, like, good quality content that it all actually has value, and that's, like, a lot of YouTube is, like, people, it's quite entertaining, but I don't think it always has value. How do you guys go about, like, making valuable content? Because I think that's something that you guys are quite good at recently.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
I always think like what I want to see, because when I was coming up in the bodybuilding industry, like there was never like straightforward black and white, you know, this and this, or everything led to selling you a product of some sort, you know. It was never like get shredded this way, it was get shredded this way because of this, you know. It was never like this is actually, I just kind of want to give people what I would want to do as a competitor. Because most of my content is revolving around that kind of thing. And yeah, that's basically what I do, and I just kind of freeball it off the cuff. What topics are hot, and I just go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, very similar to Josh. I just use whatever I see a reoccurring question on Instagram stories, and then try and make some form of educational video. And I don't think a lot of people in the YouTube fitness industry are now focusing solely on this magical editing and shum shum shum, and everything's the same, and everyone's doing this same topic of instant fat loss and how to lose fat in 7 days for views. Doing this. I keep seeing this same video of, you know, how people do like a reverse transformation.
Oh, what?
Like it's okay. It's okay to be bloated. It's like, oh man, like you're not providing any value. Like Josh, I come. I've just been backlogging loads of Josh's content, which has been really good, and the fact that Josh is doing like videos like the recent one on sleep was fantastic as well. So it's just I think it's refreshing for like us two to just be putting out content like that, and I think people enjoy it. Yeah,
because I feel like the thing is like none of your content is like clickbaity, and like I get clickbaiting, like I get it, but it's like if there's clickbait and there's no like wholesomeness to fill up the video, then I think that's where the viewers feel, I guess, almost cheated or something, or like they feel like it's hard to still watch. But I think that's something you guys do quite well. But like when it comes to this the whole thing of like YouTube and stuff, how do you go about like documenting on the daily? Because I've done like a few things on YouTube, and I find it quite hard. I find I can do a sit down video okay, but I find when I'm doing things like a vlog or doing things like where I'm just documenting daily, I always forget, or I almost just find it weird to do it, and I always find it hard. How do you go about like doing it, like when you're in the gym, or like if you're just in public? Like how do you go about doing that, and how do you go about like not caring if someone's like, oh, what the fuck is he doing?
Yeah, I don't give a fuck what people think. So I just kind of just do what I want. Like I'll film wherever, whenever. In terms of like I do like a mild plan. I think you should talk to Tom about this because of the production value on Tom's videos is super high compared to mine. I'll say that much. Like I think it'd be cool to hear how you go about it, because there's a lot more in depth, transition wise, scene to scene, and there's like almost like a story being told within the little video that you do. So that'd be cool to hear.
Yeah. So with daily vlogging or vlogging your day, people, if you're a likable individual and a likable character, people don't really care what you're doing in that day. They just watch you for you. But generally with my content, if I'm doing like a day in the life of, I'll film. In my mind is my timeline for editing in. So I edit my video once I've done with the day, but each shot that I do, before I do the next shot, in my head I go, okay, I've just come from a shot of me talking to a camera, so the next shot is going to be like a close-up, and then we'll transition into something to do with, and I'll have a reoccurring theme throughout that video. So if the video is 20 minutes long and the title is about your himban, every 5 minutes I'll just chuck in a little comment about your himban. Yeah. So the whole 20 minute video, you've got a pretty clear picture of dosages of your himban, when to take it, how I'm feeling. So it's that sort of aspect to it really with vlogging. Oh yeah, so like sort of mixing it up every because is it sort of like you don't want to, how people on Instagram, they don't want to do it's when in like the teenage culture, a lot of people care a lot about like, you don't want to have a salad shot and then have like another salad shot sort of thing. Is it kind of like that? Yeah, similar to that. It's like repetitive filming. I think Casey Neistat, if you don't watch Casey Neistat, he's probably one of the best vloggers in that aspect, and just general film producers and directors like Tarantino and the guys that did Baby Driver. And it's just merging your whatever is going on in your mind or whatever feels right. If you're walking down the road and you look at a certain angle and that works, then just film it. And then the worst thing to do when you get you could just get to your editing suite at the end of the day and go, oh, it didn't work, and just don't put it in there. But just try and film as much as possible. You want to have so much content that you cut back. You don't want to have limited content that you've got to put forward. Yeah, I think that's a really great point. Whenever I making like extended talking scenes, I spit a lot of bullshit in between the points that I put on a YouTube video. It just allows you. The more you say, you can take out the ones that maybe didn't make sense. It's quite hard to articulate yourself on the spot. Which is actually the beauty of podcasts, because you're in the moment. But yeah, with a YouTube video, you can be a lot more thoughtful about it, and you can just say whatever you really want to say, because you don't need to show everyone. Yeah, and I definitely feel like that's why I really love podcasts, is because like they are edited and like things are taken out, but like the majority is left untouched, and you can sort of just roll with it. And that's something I find quite hard to sort of switch between like YouTube and podcasts, because on YouTube I still just roll, and then I find I will just yab about shit all day, and then I'll get to editing and I'll be like, I didn't even know where to take it. Like it's just like I've just sort of chucked everything I know about a certain topic in a video, and then it's like it sort of ends up having no direction. I find it hard to give it a direction. I think a lot of people do fall into the trap of just spending too much time talking in front of a camera. And unless you're like a comedic genius, then sometimes it doesn't work. And I come across channels, and you as the producer of a YouTube account just need to go into your average duration of film of watch time. And if you've put out a 20-minute video and your average watch time is 5 minutes, then you're not doing very well. So it's that aspect. And if you have got a long sit-down interview to do, just chuck some animation in there, or have dual cameras, and then use Final Cut Pro just to go between the two cameras. Because for me though, personally, I love sitting down and watching 60-minute videos of people in the industry that I really admire. Like I'd happily watch a 60-minute video of Trained by JP or John Meadows just talk. I would just listen. So it's just finding that balance. And just sort of like I like the way, if you guys know Joe Rogan, I'm assuming you do, he's pretty like, I think the way he does his podcast on YouTube is pretty good, because they'll like pull up shit and then they'll have like different camera angles. And I think like that makes it quite like, I think it makes it easier to watch than like one camera angle or like all that sort of thing. Of course. And it's definitely very
like,
interactive.
Yeah, and I think he does it very well, and I'd love to be on his podcast production level one day, but you know, he's pretty intense, goes whole German shit. But I'd like to. Did an interview the other day with my physio, and basically he mentioned one thing about like when it comes to supplements. His sort of opinion was, he said from the literature that he's looked at, the only supplement that he thinks is useful or scientifically backed was, I believe he said creatine was the only one, and then for whey protein he basically said it's convenience at the end of the day sort of thing. Do you guys have differing opinions, or does it go along the same sort of line?
Same, pretty much. Like creatine's pretty good. There's probably a lot of research into a lot of other supplements, and they probably do work, to be honest. You know, I don't think you can dash away the whole supplement industry, though we love to do that. I think the main things that get stigma are like BCAAs because they're, you know, muscle saving. No, that's a load of bullshit. You know, whey protein, you don't need it. Protein's protein. But if you're looking to things that like people have deficiencies of, like there's obviously a benefit to adding into that, you know. So for example, people who live in Iceland and don't see as much sun, vitamin E thing, you know. So I think understand using the supplement, if there is a demand for that supplement, I would say there's probably a lot of different supplements you can go by. I couldn't list them all off, you know, because there's too many things that people want to go for, and I'm sure the research on them is plentiful as well. But you can't dash all of them, but you can dash a lot of the mainstream ones that are sold as miracle products and products that are going to change your physiology when really, it's just like a macro balance, calorie balance kind of thing.
Yeah, I think if you're an individual that wants to win, and these supplements may only have a small incremental change on your overall physique or body composition, but if the price is right and if it's not too expensive and it has that 1 or 2%, you know, advantage, then I'd recommend taking it. I think for me, in the world of anabolic steroids, our supplementation may differ heavily from someone else's because we're so concerned with our heart and liver function, kidneys. But generally, for a natural lifter, a whey protein isn't needed unless you've come to the end of the day and you haven't hit your protein target. Creatine is probably one of the most studied supplements out there and has a lot of research behind it. Yeah. But there's these other supplements that creep up, and I just feel at the moment in the industry there's this overwhelming presence of quite a snobby, snooty sort of attitude that I keep coming across. Like, they follow the herd. You know, I said, I had a little rant yesterday on my story of certain individuals sort of going, oh, just because the waist trainer or a topical cream doesn't work. Yeah. It's like, why don't you have a look into the research behind said topic and go, oh, hold on, actually, there's some research to suggest that it does work. And if you're making yourself out to be this champion that will do whatever is willing to do and to take, then why are you having this attitude instead of just seeing one of your mates' Instagram posts and goes, oh yeah, because he said it, it's rubbish, total rubbish. Yeah. I just think, oh, fuck off, you know what I mean, get a pair of bollocks. Yeah, like one thing, I've been thinking of doing a video focusing on citrulline malate, because like for me, I've noticed when I looked at like a lot of pre-workouts, I noticed it was underdosed. But then one thing that I actually noticed is you posted your Total War, that one by Redcon 1 on your story, and then I looked at the ingredients for that, and it's properly dosed there, which is something that I thought was quite good. And then like I looked at a bunch of different pre-workouts, and that was the only one where I saw it at like an adequate amount. And I think like obviously I think like I feel like leaving out things like caffeine and leaving out things like that is like obviously hard, because like that is obviously useful. Like I think it has a place, and I think there's so many things that have a place. And like as you said with like when you're enhanced, like you've sort of, I feel like, I don't know much about it, but do you sort of have to figure out like how to manage side effects with other sort of supplements, sort of stuff like that? In terms of the side effects from like a pre-workout being involved with a drug? Yeah, or like is there like, do you have to sort of manage that? Like you mentioned like heart and liver and stuff and like all that sort of stuff. Yeah, so the heart and liver aspect and your overall health is easily managed through supplementation. There's not really an interchange between your natty supplements and anabolics. It's just that you're adding in anabolics and you have to worry about a little bit more with like estrogen and prolactin and things like that. So yeah, it only becomes complicated if you make it complicated.
So it doesn't need to be this like thing about, okay, I'm going to balance this with that and that with this, because like it just doesn't need to be that. And do you one thing that I've been thinking about recently is like, when it comes to like being enhanced, do you still do all the like normal things, or do they like things like fish oil? Like, do you guys think like things like that, like a multivitamin, just take them, and if they don't work, then cool, but like they probably work, sort of thing, like.
So with fish oils, for me, might differ from someone else, because a certain drug that I'm taking, like Winstrol, for example, or a drug that's going to crush my estrogen, which is therefore going to dry my joints out even more, may be more beneficial to an individual like myself. But for someone who has adequate amounts of omega-3, 6 and 9 in their diet, do they need it? Well, quite possibly not. So there are different contributing factors.
Well, Josh, for you, when it comes to like things like the little things like multivitamins, fish oil, do you use them? Why, and like why not?
So with things like that, so anything that's I'd consider like a micronutrient or a supplement to my diet, I would probably just decide whether I need that on the day. For example, if I have a day where I just haven't managed to get many vegetables in, I'm more likely to take a greens powder. I prefer a greens powder over like a multi-tablet. I don't know why, just mindset thing. If I haven't eaten my fish for the week, I have fish like 2 or 3 times a week. And if I don't have my fish maybe that week, then I'll supplement with an omega. If anything starts to play up, then I'll start to supplement, and then I'll just play it how I feel, really, because I'm in a surplus, because micronutrients and macronutrients are in abundance. I shouldn't really be deficient of much, so I have no need to supplement. But when I start pulling down, for example, Tom, because his calories are so low and his macros are so low, he probably is deficient of a few things here and there, just because of the less calories and the less micronutrients. So then you'd look to kind of supplement something as you go forward. And it all depends on what your food balance is.
Could we contrast like the sort of changes in like mindset and like sort of emotions, like, because you're in a bulk, Josh, and you're in like an intense cut. How does that play on your emotions? Because like for me, I'm consistently in a bulk. Like I started off at 53. I'm like just bulking until I get big. So it's like I've just stayed big. Like that's the only goal. But how do those emotions affect you when you're in a bulk or a cut? And is it very diverse, or like that sort of thing?
I think it is diverse, and I remember when I first came to see Tom, I always said like I love training with someone who's on a prep, because everything is heightened. Like your focus is heightened, your time management is better. You like, I can see in the way that all the videos are coming out from Tom that he's in that zone right now. He knows what's happening every single day at this time and that time, and I love that about prep. And it's hard to say, but it does fall off a little bit during bulk, just because you have those excess calories, things are getting a little bit tired, and you have those kind of, if the goal's so long term, and it's not necessarily in the next 12 to 16 weeks, like it's a lot harder to stay focused for that. So I think you're more likely to come off track every now and again, as opposed to a cut where I don't even fall off. I don't fall off a track ever. I don't make a mistake, and I love. That's why I love prep. I'm sure Tom can account for that.
Yeah, I'm just totally in. I'm just at the start of the prep, I was a bit dubious. Should I be going to an off season? Because I finally found my rhythm, and I was very concerned with watching the guys like trained by JP and Hollinshead, and people who have just finished their shows and getting big. I was like, why am I going into a prep phase just to get small again? But this has been the best cutting phase, diet phase, prep phase ever. I've constantly. I haven't slacked. Everything's been on the money. Calories have been on the money. Steps, cardio, lifts, and I've enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, it's been hard. Like it's getting really, really hard now, because my last contest prep was 4 months. This has been 6, going on 7 if I get through to the British final. So it's stressful. And the 2 situations for my first prep, when I was working at GNC for 16 hours a week, and I lived at home with mum and dad. Now I'm self-employed, run a business, and have a girlfriend and rent to pay. So but the prep mindset makes me more motivated and more productive. It's odd. And like Josh said, on an off season, I hold my hands up. I've been very susceptible to going, oh fuck it, I can't be fucked to train today. And what I'm doing for my next off season is just trying my best as possible to mirror that mindset of a prep within off season and go, just because I'm in off season doesn't mean I'm not competing.
Yeah.
The goal is still competing in 2 years' time, and the goal is to look like Chris Bumstead.
Yeah.
So there's no way I'm slacking. So this is why I can't wait. I really can't wait to go into an off season.
It's definitely like, for me, I've never experienced a cut, so like I wouldn't. Is it sort of like the mental, like knowing that there's the time pressure?
No,
must be.
in terms of like the
Yeah, like
you need to get to a certain
yeah,
condition
like
by that. And
if you fuck up, like you've got like a week, or like it's like you've got like a certain amount of time. Like, is it sort of like that thing, like sort of constantly like sitting here, like sort of watching you, sort
it's
of thing?
good though. I like it. I like the pressure going. Oh fuck, I'm holding a bit of fat here.
Yeah.
I've got 2 weeks to change that. I like that. I like being behind, and I think it's good to think that the people that you're going up against are doing more than you.
Yeah.
And so every time I'm in the gym and I just can't quite squeeze out that that 10th rep, I go, my competitor's just done 12, so fuck that, I'm doing another set. So it's I like it. There should be no prep. Should never be easy. Should never be an easy process. And I think if people go, oh, this prep's been really easy, I think, well, that's why you come 5th or 6th. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Is it like
there's something? Sorry, I was going to say there's something magical about just hitting goals every single day. Because if you hit one goal the first thing in the morning, you've done your fasted cardio, that's one goal out of the way, and you literally hit goal after goal, box after box every single day. So you build unstoppable momentum. You literally build unstoppable momentum. It's quite amazing. It really.
Yeah, I can always like, whenever I like look at someone on prep, I'm always like, it's hard for me to imagine like what it's like emotionally, and like if they're like, because people, right? Like people have mood swings, like all that shit. Like people snap at people in their lives. Like I find it's like, do you find you get more like moody and like shit like that, and like have shit days more often, or like do you find that sort of thing like changes a lot?
I don't have any shit days. Every day's a good day. I think with contest prep, you shouldn't be in a position where you go, oh fuck, I've got 5 months of this left.
Yeah.
Every day is just a new day. So like today is Thursday, and okay, I've got to the evening, I've hit my cardio, I've hit my weights, and I've hit my macros. Tomorrow's a new day. I think it starts becoming very daunting when you go, shit, I've got 5 months of this deficit to go.
Yeah.
And that's where you start mentally losing it.
Yeah, I'd say like,
I agree.
Like being on prep and like having those good days like every day, I find when I saw your story, Tom, the other day, where you were like, it was something saying like, okay, it's a Saturday night, like I'm gonna go do cardio or something, and then like some people would hate that, but how do you keep that positivity, or how do you like just enjoy it? Because I find like for myself, I find it quite easy to keep the positivity and just like enjoy shit, no matter even if I don't like it, still just enjoy it. Like, how do you go about keeping that? Because I think there's a lot of people who struggle with being negative fucks, and like how do you sort of keep the positivity?
It's only a certain amount of time, isn't it? And then the prep's done. Do you know, this isn't I'm not in a deficit for the rest of my life. I'm in a deficit for 5 months, and then I'm going to be I'm going to look like a shredded cunt for summer. So there's something quite nice about doing cardio when people are out drinking.
Yeah.
And maybe that's me, and maybe other individuals might agree, but there's a certain aspect to, I reckon I'm doing what others aren't doing here. And I think when you start distinguishing yourself from a mental aspect to maybe even the people I'm competing with. And my last show, I remember speaking to the guys backstage, and they were like, yeah, I binged like 3 times. What did you do? And I was like, I didn't want to be that dude that said I didn't binge just for the sake of looking like a squeaky clean guy. But I said, I didn't binge. Like, why? Why did you binge? There's no need. You can eat whatever food you want after the show. So it's just like, it's not the end of the world, is it? We're still eating. When I start feeling sorry for myself, I put myself in a position. It's probably a very weird position to put yourself in. But if you think of yourself still eating, and you've got kids that are starving, and kids that have to walk miles for a slice of bread, and you think, hold on, why are you upset? You're still having 1,800 calories. There's no way you should be crying about. You're not starving yourself. It's a few hours out of the day where you're hungry, and you can easily get over that with a cup of tea, a sweetener, or a fizzy low-calorie drink. You just fucking get over yourself.
Yeah, it's definitely like I would never like. like know how to like get over those like bits where it's like, fuck, I don't want to wait 4 hours for my next meal. Like, how do you, like, for me, I find the hard thing for me is still getting in food. Like, I still find it recently, like over the last week, I've had like, I found it very easy just 'cause I got from like uni to just on holiday, so I just have heaps of time to just eat. But do you have any tips for like eating well and eating like good quality food while you're like either while you're on a bulk or while you're on a cut? Because I feel like getting things like nutrients and like things you actually need to sustain yourself can be hard. Like, because when I'm on a like currently I'm eating shit. Like I'm eating like roast potatoes twice a day, like cereal every day, like all that sort of stuff. Like, does it matter? Like, and like, is there ways that you sort of get around it and get some vitamins and minerals and shit like that?
Food's just food, really. Like, calories are calories, macros are macros. So as long as you're eating a pretty good macronutrient breakdown, like, it doesn't really matter too much. And then if you're not getting your vitamins and minerals in, just supplement with them. Like, it's pretty, like, it doesn't matter too much, like, kind of what kind of foods you're getting in. That kind of thing's been debunked a little bit. Obviously, you don't want to be going putting copious amounts of saturated fats into your veins, but you know, you can do what you want. I think the choices for you to make, the healthy choices, should always be the one to make. And it's your, like, you know, I always say this, like, your body is the vehicle for life. You know, treat it how you want to be living. So if you're going to keep putting shit into it, you know, you might get the repercussions down the line. So you know, treat it how you want to be driving through life.
I like seeing Josh Bridgman's My Fitness Pal at the end of the day and seeing he's had a baguette and 4 bagels with jam. I just think this is fucking amazing. I just love it. And it's so funny because people complain about, I can't grow. It's like, eat more. I do eat enough. Well, you don't eat enough. So what the fuck? I used to work in GNC for 3 years. I used to have people come in and say, I've been eating a lot, but I'm just not getting big. I say, well, how many meals are you having a day? I go, about 2 or 3. I say, well, 5 or 6. It's not hard. It's not hard. And the same thing for cutting at the moment. And Luke Sando made a very good point, is that you don't get any more brownie points for eating clean. You don't get any more brownie points for going, I've had chicken and broccoli today with no seasoning. Like, why would you want to? I totally get that prep should never be easy, but there are aspects with prep that if you can make your life substantially easier through certain food choices, then take them. If you've got set macros for dinner, instead of having your carb sources through rice, if you want a tortilla wrap with lettuce and chicken, have the fucking tortilla wrap with lettuce and chicken. Yeah. If it spices it up a little bit, there's no difference for body composition. And it pains me when I see people messaging me going, ooh, you can't eat a fucking tortilla wrap. I say it's the exact same macro breakdown as what you want me to eat, which is rice. You know, so, and you just can't win. Some people are just destined to live that lifestyle. And if they want to live that lifestyle, then live it. But when you know, when I really, really want to win, just so I can go, fuck you, I ate this and this, and I still became shredded and won. So yeah, there's a little bit of that as a motivational factor as well.
What about when it comes to like, because like if you listen to, as I mentioned earlier, Joe Rogan and like shit like that, he has quite like an intense hate for things like pasta, and because he's all keto and shit, and like he hates sugar, etc. Do you guys have like an opinion on things? Like he always says, what does he call them? He calls them simple carbs, and he basically says sugar will kill you. Like, do you guys have a sort of opinions on that?
I think a lot of the problems associated with the things that he's talking about are in like excessive use and the standard American diet, who are absolutely abusing. I mean, if you look at the standard American diet compared to pretty much anywhere in the world, it's absolutely hideous. You know, processed sugars are way off the chart. Unsaturated fats, polyunsaturated, all the horrible fats are just absolutely sky high. And yeah, like they're going to cause some nasty things, and I think that is probably what is scaring a lot of these older health gurus into choosing different pathways, just because of the overwhelming excessive consumption of these things. So I think as long as you're moderating your I mean, I know that I'm pretty sure Joe Rogan has a pizza every now and again, you know, like, so everything in moderation, you know.
Of course.
Don't be eating pizza every single day. It doesn't make sense, you know.
Yeah.
You know, once in a blue moon, treat yourself. Like, your body's going to it's not going to be too bad whatsoever. So I think everything in moderation.
Yeah, I do. I just find it so funny that there's certain subculture of people that demonize fat. Then all of a sudden they demonize sugar. Then
Yeah.
they demonize dairy. I think, well, what? Make your mind up. Do you know what I mean? It's just funny. It's so strange to. And then I finally have a discussion with someone. Like I just call people out just because the people need educating. But someone who says, "Oh, I'm not having sugar at the moment, but for breakfast I had fruit bowl." I think, oh, just. Do you know what I mean? Where are you coming from?
Yeah.
And certain people that cut out things from their diet, even though they're not like intolerant of things. There's just no need. But as Joe said, moderation. And if you to America, many, I would love to prep out there. The amount of fat-free stuff is just fantastic. You think, oh, how are you so fat when you literally have Ben and Jerry's fat-free ice cream?
Yeah.
You've got these like low-fat, gluten-free pancake. You think, I'd love to do a show and a prep phase out in America soon. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, I feel like that when it comes to selection, they've definitely like got it on tap. But I feel like 90% of the people don't see that aisle, like they just skip that aisle. But
No.
that's like the fucked up thing. Like I had a fucking lecture on diabetes the other day, and it's scary like how crazy diabetes is. Like there was this one fact: if diabetes was a country, it would be the third biggest country, which is like obviously it's like it's not like it doesn't have much like relevance how big it would be as a country, but like there's so much like as what I do in university is very focused on like if someone has diabetes, we'll be the one to tell them that they need to have their foot chopped off. Like that's like like it's fucked up. And I think like that's the good thing where like people always hate on bodybuilding and say like, okay, you're gonna end up with a billion injuries, you're gonna end up with your arteries clogged. Like my mum always says to me, but it's like she's not educated or anything. I love my mum, but like she doesn't. I don't think most people understand like how when you're actually eating good, like 90% of the time, if you have that bad thing, it doesn't matter. But if you're eating consistently shite, then it matters. But
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What about when it comes to like? I like to talk like when it comes to like Josh, you're currently recovering from surgery, right? So it's like, how do you go about? What's your like plan for that? Because like, fuck, I remember when I got out of surgery, I couldn't even like, I couldn't do shit. And then it's like, how do you sort of go back into lifting, which is like decently intense exercise?
Growth hormone.
Yeah. I'm just waiting on my mail order now. Yeah, so it's just taking it slow, increment things back in. I talked a bit about my Instagram, so I just kind of go back to some basic macros, get some weight that I lost back, because most of that's just going to be glycogen and water anyway. And then just as my activity rises back up, because obviously I was sat down and laid in a bed for 4 or 5 days, my activity is zero. There's no need for me to overconsume on anything. So just kind of minimally consumed, and as my activity is going up, so I've been for a few walks now. I just bring my food up alongside that, and then as I can slowly get back into the gym, there's always something that you can work around with. Bodybuilding is an isolation sport. I can isolate things without bringing my stomach into play.
Yeah.
And then just as that happens, I'm just going to increase everything again. And then once the intensity is back, that's it. It's a simple process. Just not rushing anything. Form perfect. Don't put myself in any danger. Just be mindful of what I'm doing. Really.
Just sort of like taking it slow and like when how do you? Because I know you have quite a good methodical approach to lifting, which I've taken a lot of inspiration from. And I think it's helped reap me a lot of gains recently. It's just like doing things, like one thing that you stress a lot is form. And like once your form deteriorates, you can't lift it sort of thing. Like how do you sort of go about applying that in like when you're in a state like this?
A lot of it's going to have to be intuition. I mean, I think the benefits are that I've been bodybuilding for such a long time that I can isolate muscles way easier than every Tom, Dick and Harry can. So I could probably perform a bicep curl without, like somewhere forward with my arm like this raised up, and I can still connect to the muscle. I can still connect to these muscles in different places just because of how long I've been lifting for. So I don't think it's going to be a problem. Isolate myself, be mindful, and just take the weight off the stomach. It'd be fine.
What about when it comes to like recovering from an injury? Because you had that pec strain as well, and TM like if you're in prep and like if you get an injury in prep, how do you handle that? Or like like, because I've had like a few injuries recently. Like I was having upper back, like upper spine issues, and like I had some weird muscle that I should have got checked out, but in my like back as well. But I sort of just rolled with the punches and sort of like I have this PT who's quite a good mate with me, and he's sort of like quite a good mentor to me. And his philosophy is sort of like keep lifting, but like if it hurts, if it aggravates the injury, don't do it. Do you guys have like similar philosophies, or like what's your sort of point of views on that?
Just drop the intensity on that given area. I think a lot of physios with an injury present will still recommend you train that area. But for example, if it's a shoulder problem, then do some rotator cuff work and maybe drop out a couple of shoulder exercises. Like I didn't tear my lat, but I felt it go about 3 weeks ago at Crayford doing heavy RDLs. And I rested probably 3 or 4 days. And at that time, when you are in a situation where you may have slightly tore your muscle, food plays such a huge role in that. Like food plays a huge role. Maybe a little bit of deep tissue, some hot baths, some foam rolling, and just be careful around that area. Just because your lat goes doesn't mean you can't train your legs. You look at Callum von Moger at the moment with his bicep injury. He'll get that back. He'll get that back to form. And you look at him, it looks a little bit small and looks a little bit.
You see, he just snapped his knee. He just snapped his knee today. Yeah,
you're joking.
Yeah, he was doing abseiling, and he was going off the side. You can see it on his Instagram.
Fuck.
He picked a huge pop. He's like, my knee.
Oh,
my knee.
Fuck hell.
And he's getting surgery, complete rupture of his patella ligament.
Jesus.
Then so he's got no legs now and one arm. So you just do bicep curls 2 times a week. But fuck, that's terrible.
Fuck
Shit,
that.
he's had some bad luck.
Oh fuck, Jesus, that's brutal. Holy fuck. What about like when it comes to sort of in things like prep and in things like bulking, when your mindset's on point, I find like when my mindset is on point is like 4 weeks out from exams. So it's like I find I can like get I'm very focused, and I can sort of just do it quite easily, and like sort of not need that relaxation time. But when you're like trying to put out content every day, and you're trying to just do shit every day and trying to perform the best you can in the gym and eat right every day, how do you go about like taking that time to just chill out and relax, play some video games, whatever it is?
I pretty much have a couple hours every day that I give
for you, isn't it?
to myself. Yeah, I've literally not got a fortnight the last like 3 days. So, but normally when I'm busy, when I'm doing stuff, I normally give myself a couple hours, whether I'm going for a walk. I think giving yourself a couple hours every day just to yourself is very important. It gives you time to reflect. You can plan. You can. I think it's a very healthy thing to do. So I think just scheduling that time in is just the best way to get it in. I schedule everything pretty much, just so I know exactly what's going on.
But what we do is we enjoy it. So this isn't a chore.
Yeah.
So when we do Instagram uploads and we film for YouTube, this isn't like, I've got to film for YouTube now.
Yeah.
So if you enjoy it, like I'll stop bodybuilding when it becomes a chore, but that's not happening anytime soon. And in terms of chilling out, you've got 24 hours in a day. You sleep for 8 of them. That gives you 16. You can pretty much work for 12 hours and you still got 4 hours to just chill out. So it's like there's no excuses. It's just silly when people say, I haven't got enough time. There's so much fucking time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of things like with students in university, like a lot of my classmates, I'll hear them, sorry if any of you guys are listening, but I'll hear them complain about like not having enough time to do X, Y, and Z. But then I'll see them like, we have like 3-hour breaks between some of our classes, and I'll see them just chilling, chatting with their mates. It's like, you could use that time to do all sorts of things, but like not optimizing it and not like, I think one thing that helps optimize the most is scheduling. So what do you guys do when it comes to things like calendaring and scheduling your day sort of thing?
Yeah, so I spend half an hour in the morning, and I just set my goals for the day, and that's it. That keeps me in check. I don't need to do anything bigger. I know a lot of people plan a week, plan a month. I just do it day to day because I'm pretty cerebral. And if there's anything big, I know a couple of weeks in advance. That's it.
Yeah, it's the same. I know I've got from 6 in the morning till 2. I'll train from 3 till 4. I'll spend 2 hours doing my work, my YouTube, and then I'll spend 2 hours chilling, watching Netflix and eating, and then I'll be done. So yeah, every day, each day.
And just sort of like making sure that you know generally what you do every day. Like, do you guys ever take? How do you like? Probably not when you're on prep, but like, do you take those days where you don't plan anything, you just sort of chill the fuck out? Because I know it's like, for me, generally in uni, I'm always like planning every single day, weekends planned, like all that sort of thing. But I've noticed I just got on like uni break, and the first like 4 days of uni break, like 2 of them were spent like hanging out with mates, and then 2 of them I did shit all and just like, I didn't plan anything, I just sort of chilled out. Do you guys, because I guess this may be just a very like sort of a kid thing, but do you guys still have those days where you literally just sit around, lie in bed, lie in your PJs, just don't do shit? Like, obviously, Josh, you just got out of hospital, so it's like, you can't, like, it's hard to do other shit. Like,
that's all I'd do.
But like, do you guys have those days where you just like chill the fuck out and do like zero and just sort of slob around?
I don't really like those days. I don't really. I'm not really a big fan of those days, because I love to train. I love to, I love to coach. I love to do what I do. So if I've got those days, I'm doing it something wrong.
Yeah.
And if I do have those days, it's probably for a reason. Whether I'm going on a holiday or something. Or maybe I've got some friends over. So I really only just, if those moments come, I'm just going to seize them when they come. But I don't really like having nothing to do.
Yeah, 100%. Like, team no days off, I'll rest when I'm dead. Do you know what I mean? Hashtag. But I can't, sometimes I can't stand just, I think it's good. I think you need to have those couple hours in the day, and it's good to have a day where you just chill out. But with me, I'm like, I could be making a bit of money here, or I could be potentially jotting some ideas for a new ebook that I want to release, or some members content. I want to do a post on Trenbolone. So I suppose it's all down to the mindset of the individual. And I think a lot of people in today's society will just live for the weekends, and they're all about that hump day. And we've got past Wednesday. I've only got 2 more days until I can fuck it all off and drink myself into oblivion. And look, I don't have a problem. Like, let them do that. Like, I think you shouldn't press your views or lifestyle on someone else just because they live like that. Let them live like that. If they're happy earning $1,000 a month, working 9 to 5, and they live for the weekend, so be it. Yeah, it doesn't affect me as an individual who doesn't want to live that life. So but I think it is vital to take some time off. I don't think individuals should run themselves into the ground, because when they do, and they take those 5 days off, those 5 days are just spent recovering, and before you know it, you're like, I'm back into the grind now. Yeah. So just take a couple of days off here and there, maybe go on holiday. I pretty much plan out my holidays like in advance, so I know if I'm going here in September, here in July, or New York, in wherever, and I just work around that.
Yeah, I find, like, for me the problem is, like, if I choose to, I can have a lot of time off, but I feel like that is almost dangerous, because I'll just get into like a role of having time off, and then it doesn't get back into the flow, and I feel like that never ends productively. What about when it comes to like does things like lifting and like tracking your lifts and like tracking your calories, does that ever get draining for you? Because I found like I tried to do it for like a few days just because I'm on a bulk, and just to sort of get a grip of how much I should be eating, and like I just found it so like it just felt really draining for me to like try and track everything I was eating and like measure everything and all that stuff. How do you guys find that draining, and like when it comes to like tracking lifts, tracking calories, all that sort of stuff?
No, it's second nature now. We've been doing it for so long. I could cook a meal and know every single calorie in it quicker than most people can know what they want for dinner. Like, it's just, I just know what's going on. Like, once you've been doing it for a few weeks, it's second nature. It's so easy.
Yeah.
But I understand your point about it feel like a chore and it's slightly monotonous having to count everything.
Yeah.
With certain clients of mine for online coaching, I'll have clients that are to the T, like macro for macro, and I've got others that can't stand it. And then we'll go on your daily weigh-ins, we'll go on the mirror checks, and if you're in a bulking phase, for example, and you want to get in X amount of food that I've set you, try and get 4 or 5 meals that equal around this marker calories, and then we'll go from there. So you don't have to be so anal, but like Josh said, we've been doing it for so long now. I know that if I have egg whites and porridge, if I have steak and rice, if I have pasta and chicken and 2 slices of bread, I know it anyway. I don't have to worry about it too much. So it's just finding what works for you, to be honest.
Because I feel like a lot of people, there's always this stigma around like counting calories and like seeing it as like an unhealthy thing. And I think a lot of people, which I obviously can't understand, but a lot of people focus on like the losing weight aspect, and it's just like general people. and like on like they always want to cut calories and they want to save the calories, and I've never experienced that because I've never been in a cut, so it's like it's hard for me to sort of relate. But I always find it just like the whole tracking calories thing. I think it's quite like it's obviously like the best tool because it works. And like, do you guys think could you ever go back to like not doing it and just doing like mirror checks and weigh-ins?
I probably could. I just kind of like the precision of it all. I don't like to. I don't want to get on that stage and think, if I just weighed that meal, or if I just weighed those few meals, then if maybe I was a few grams out, then maybe that's what. I don't want that looming over my head. I want to know all the variables, and I want to know that I've hit all the variables 100%. But in terms of like living your life, like I don't think you can live your life from like scale to scale. I don't think that is a maintainable thing to do for the rest of your life. But for right now, like I'm more than happy to do it. I think maybe when I get out of bodybuilding, I'll know portion size so well anyway from seeing it so many times over the years. I'm going to know what proper portion size is anyway, so I can just it's going to be just as close as count macros when I go to guessing anyway.
It's odd as well when you think before we started lifting and doing all this malarkey that you'd wake up as a kid in primary school or even in secondary school, and you'd wake up and go like 2 slices of toast, and then lunch you might go and get a baguette from the canteen. It's just when I think about how I used to eat back then, it's just mad. It's crazy having that sort of almost freedom to a certain degree of not having to worry about food. But I'm so in it now that I love it. Like I can't imagine myself anytime soon ever stopping this. And, I'd quite like to live the same life as Dorian is now, Dorian Yates. He's done that. He's got the t-shirt and he's got the trophies. He's just enjoying living his life now. So
like that
would be the goal, really.
Yeah, like I feel like one thing that I've heard a lot of people say is like the whole like bodybuilding, you end up with injuries, you end up with debilitating pain, etc. Do you guys think that is true, or like sort of just stigma, or like what?
I think it all depends on how you're going about your lifts, for sure. I also think there's no two ways about it. If you're putting, like, I don't think our body is meant to be as heavy as we are, as strong as we are, and have as much muscle as we are. Just in general, we're probably not meant to be that. So we are putting stress on our joints and tendons. There's no two ways about it, I don't think. But I do think that actually being strong, being in good shape, having good muscle, being not too high body fat that we are, the health benefits of that far outweigh what the average person is doing.
Yes.
So the average person is going to be coming along and saying, "Oh, you count your calories here. You train too hard here. You're going to get joint injuries." Well, you don't even get off your sofa, so I'm probably still going to live a little bit longer. I'd rather live a little bit longer with a sore elbow, but
Yes.
So I think all things considered, I'll take the risk and I'll take the damage.
Yeah, for like Josh said, no, let's face it, no one really wants to be in Ronnie Coleman's position at the moment, do we? And he's almost a cripple now. And don't get me wrong, he looked absolutely fantastic, and he was lifting, crazy high weights. But this mentality of, I'd rather live 40 years as a lion than 80 as a sheep. Why can't you live 80 years as a lion and just be smart about it all? So, yeah, like Josh said, it's very heavily emphasised on form and how well you are looking after your body, both mentally and physically.
What about like when it comes to, I heard like this is what my sort of like personal trainer mentor said the other day. Like he said, like we were talking about steroids, and he basically said if he was ever going to get on steroids, he would say that he would get on later in life, because he has a friend who's like a professional wrestler, and he's on roids because he's a professional wrestler. So it's like kind of need them. So like he said, basically if he was ever going to get on something like test, he would get on when he was like 35 or something like that, whenever your testosterone drops. What do you get? What are your like opinions on that, or like thoughts on that?
It depends on your goal. Completely depends on your goal. Maybe you want to be the next Mr. Olympia. If you want to be the next Mr. Olympia, you probably need to be taking steroids since you're 20.
Yeah.
It's completely dependent on your goals. In terms of maybe if he's thinking about like the natural test levels drop later on in life, and then you go on TRT dose. I definitely think I'll be doing something like that. And then I'll probably go on growth hormone as well when I go a little bit older as well. Just to live better, to feel better, just to be better. To be honest, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. There's so many benefits to testosterone as well.
Yeah.
Not just in the aspect of us lot that are taking steroids and lifting to get big for a show, but when that starts to decline, the side effects, the potential side effects of low testosterone are very worrying. So having that, and you need to do it correctly with TRT dosages, and if you do get prescribed anabolics by your doctor, you know you're getting the real deal. It's 100% purity of testosterone.
Yeah.
And that would just be probably like a small dosage of maybe 250 meg every 10 days and things like that. So, yeah, I agree with him in the sense that when he's 35 and testosterone starts decreasing, that he may jump on. But if you are having that attitude, then jump on through the doctor's supervision.
Yeah. Don't
go, oh, I'm 35, I'll get my tests low. Because my dad's like 40 odd and he gets his blood test done and he's fine.
Yeah.
So it's down to the individual. If you've got low test and you get prescribed it, jump on it. But don't just start taking it willy-nilly.
Yeah.
And do it properly as well, because doctors don't fully understand hormone replacement therapy. Doctors really don't understand what is going on. Like they'll prescribe a certain dosage of testosterone, but then they won't have anything to do with estrogen control. You think, well, if you don't have any estrogen control for the testosterone you're taking, then a large portion of that testosterone is being converted to estrogen. It's just wasted anyway, and you're putting yourself under more pressure than you were before. So, yeah, just go about it correctly.
I feel like there's so much to take into account when it comes to like things like that. Like when it comes to like steroids, like is there like major do's and don'ts, and like especially when it comes to like getting them? Because I always like there's all these like documentaries where people are like, oh, blah blah blah, like you don't know what's in them, and people say that for like every single drug. Like, is that like largely like true? Like, is it sort of like you don't know what you're getting, or like is it?
So to a certain degree, you do. We have reputable companies and reputable labs that we use that do the rounds, and they have testing kits that have been sanctioned by that lab, and they have codes that you can scratch off and put into a computer that will say, yes, this is a verified source. So I don't think the argument, and this was mentioned in the Jeremy Kyle program, who was saying you don't know what you're taking, and you think, oh, it's just fucking media hype again. But
yeah.
There is, if you can get your hands on pharmaceutical gear from like Iran or Turkey, in which in theory you can go into those countries and walk into a pharmacy and go, I'll have that Sustanon and that Tren, and they'll go, there you go. Because the dire state in the economy of these countries, they just, they're crying for money. So there's some, there's some argument to it that you don't know what you're taking, but if you don't know what you're taking, then get it tested by getting a lab test kit, and as simple as that.
Yeah, and like sort of, I feel like, is there ways that you, because like the thing that I didn't realize is before I like had the conversation with you, I didn't realize how like you can make them safe, and like you can make them like, you can do them smart. Like you don't have to just, I remember you said this one thing, like it was like, it's not just dirty needles and like huge guys in a leaky bathroom or something. And it was like, it's yeah, I feel like there's a lot of, still a ton of stigma, and like still a ton of like stuff. Do you guys have any opinions on? I've heard a recent bit, well, not as recent, but I've heard a little bit about random things called SARMs. I've pretty much only heard negative things about them, but I've heard like, what are you guys' opinions on that? And like, are they? I don't know shit about them, so like
they are complete shit. They are just a complete waste of time. They are heavily unresearched, and for those people that push it, sell the product, so it's like, of course they're going to say it's good. And if you're putting yourself through shutdown with SARMs, why the fuck are you doing that? Why don't you put yourself in a position where you're shut down with actual anabolics? I just think SARMs are for pussies, like honestly. Like, oh, I haven't got the confidence to take gear or stick a needle in my ass. Should I do an oral only cycle? No, you shouldn't be doing anything if you've got that mentality. So
yeah,
it's just fucking pointless, man.
Yeah, I agree. Why put something that's so like not researched? We don't know the long-term effects of anything. Why do that when we've got steroids right next to us, which have been researched for 50 years, 40 years now, and quite overwhelmingly, like we know how to do this now.
Yeah,
it's science now. You know, like using anabolic steroids is science now. It's not a bunch of juice heads trying to get big.
Yeah.
It's thought out process. It's people doing this to hit goals, not just to fucking be a big meathead. So
Exactly.
I think times have changed a little bit, yeah. And everyone's looking for anything to stay natural these days. You know, so if you put in SARMs in your body, you're definitely not natural.
It's like pro hormones as well.
Exactly, yeah. You know, I mean, just do the real thing.
Me.
Yeah, I feel like you might as well just go and like do it, because I feel like it's you've got the research, and like that is something that I would sort of put my trust in, and like the way that you like I still don't know shit about it, but it's like how you can sort of like, if you have this, okay, you can balance it out with this, and then do this because of this, and like all these things to make it more safe and like reliable. What about like when it comes, I know you've been asked this question before, like you guys have answered a similar question to this, but what about when it comes to like Josh, when it comes to if you ever were to go on steroids, like one, would you ever, and under what circumstances?
Yeah, I would. I don't know the circumstances just yet. I don't know the circumstances. I'm trying to work out my own path right now. I'm battling with it every day. Especially now I come off like an injury like this, I think, just go on. But in my head, I've got one more season natural, because I've never really done a full off season. So one more season natural, so it'll be like 18 more months. See where I'm at. If the progress isn't what I want to be, if I'm not significantly further along the line than where I need to be, I can heavily see myself getting involved in steroids next year. Yeah, and then if I was going to do that, I'll definitely have a big conversation with Tom as to what I think we pretty know what it is. It'll just be kind of testosterone based, 16 weeks long ester, and then just build on that really.
I'm putting you on slim growth.
Yeah,
trend.
Straight on it all.
I'm gonna make you turn into a machine.
Yeah, it's the goal.
Would you ever like worry about like the sort of like, do you give a fuck about the sort of like natural reputation, like that sort of thing? Like,
yeah, I think there's definitely a big thing around being natural, and I do get a lot of messages about being natural, and I think just because I'm further along in my natural bodybuilding career than a lot of these kids, they think that I'm like some kind of natural, you know, like, oh, I'm a fake natty, I'm very close to being unnatural. Yeah. Really, they've just not been doing it long enough, and they've not seen enough people who have been doing it long enough. There's definitely pressure to stay natural. I'd say there's more pressure to stay natural than there is to take steroids, actually, which is quite a funny one.
There is
just for people saying that I'm cheating and I'm copping out and I'm taking the easy route. And it's just like, fuck off. I'm not. Just spend a day in my mind and just know how I feel, and you won't be saying any of that, you know. So yeah, good question.
I had a debate with my classmates a while ago, and it was basically me versus a table of people on why steroids aren't that bad. And like the consensus of the table was like, fuck, everyone who does steroids is the devil. Like, yeah, it's still like there's still, I thought like just because like the content I consume is a bit more like steroid friendly, and like it's like there's not as much like hate towards it, but fuck, like because we were all watching the Commonwealth Games, and it's like I feel like in that regard that's when it's fucked, but it's like there's still this like, and I was arguing for like the kind of steroid use that like bodybuilders, like that sort of thing, and like it was very like it was the like, and like it was very stereotypical opinions, like it wasn't measured, and they weren't like, oh yeah, because the research says this. No, it was kind of just like fuck steroids because X, Y, and Z sort of thing.
But are any of us shocked when the next athlete comes out that's been doping? No. Are we shocked when an Olympian comes out and says, oh yeah, no, I took gear? Of course not, because they're all on it. Yeah, they're all on it. You expect this the human civilization to constantly break records every single Olympics, and that to be down to some natural progression. Get fucked. If it came out today if it came out this morning or this afternoon or whatever that Usain Bolt was on gear, I'd go, yeah, cool. I wouldn't go, oh, he was on gear, because he's still the fastest man in the world. Yeah. There's allegations that Mo Farah's doping. You sit down and speak to Lance Armstrong and you say, would you do it all again? He went, fuck yes, I'd do it again. So everyone's running it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and say that steroids don't possess some serious side effects. They do. You know, you can have a really bad allergic reaction to a compound and you could potentially be on your deathbed. But there's no way I'd ever sit in a room with someone and say and agree with someone that steroids will kill you or steroids will turn you into a roid head, and it's just a lot of bullshit. But the overwhelming population and percentage of people, athletes, are on something. Their coaches are running it. Their coaches are. You got to look at it like this: the anti-doping agencies are always behind the drug users. They catch up. They take one step, they catch up, and it's a forever game. You look at the scandal with the clear, the drug that you inject to clear yourself from the gear you're taking. Us steroid users are always one step ahead of the anti-doping agencies, and that's the game. That's how it will play out.
And I feel like it's almost got to get to a point where, like, I wouldn't say like, I feel like the average Joe shouldn't be on it, but like, I feel like it's got to get to a point where it is more acceptable, because it's like, it's almost like it's being used, but no one's being honest about it. Like, no one anywhere, like no one in the Olympics is like, fuck yeah, everyone's on steroids. Like, no one's saying that, and it's like, that's the good thing.
I'd love it too.
Oh yeah, and I think it would, like,
Yeah, it'd be amazing.
I don't think everyone, like, if it came out like tomorrow, like, okay, yeah, hey guys, we're legalizing steroids for the Olympics, like, I don't think anyone would really give a fuck, like, apart from like a few people for a week or two. Like, after a while,
Of course they wouldn't.
Well, nothing would change. Nothing would change. It'd be the same times.
Exactly.
The people who are winning are still going to be winning. It's, it's not. There's nothing really going to change.
They could just do
I
it.
think
And we want to see it.
will go down. Yeah, exactly. And we want to see it. We are seeing it. So, but I think like performance enhancing drugs are going to go along the way of like the way the cannabis is sort of going.
Yeah.
It was always demonized, and then really we found that we can use it medicinally. And now, obviously, in America, like all these places that are legalizing it and they're testing it and they're doing more research, and it's under supervised research, and they're finding all these different things that you can do and how to use it, how not to use it.
Yeah.
And if you did that with performance enhancing drugs, you would breed supreme people, like talking more than what they are now. If you could do all this kind of stuff, they probably, I mean. I think eventually it'll go down that way, because it's just like we're just turning around to it really and ignoring it on purpose, which is stupid.
Yeah.
There's only so
the
long
amount
you
of
can ignore it.
the amount of genetic freaks out there that are genetically gifted to the extreme without gear. If you round them all up and put them on some form of anabolic profile that's within reason, we could seriously see some freaky bodybuilders. Like we could see like 10 big rounds on a stage like every week. Do you know what I mean? So which I'd love to see, and we'd all love to see it. No offense to natural bodybuilders at all. I think they work their ass off, but I think this depiction that anabolic steroids don't work their ass off seems to be a concurrent theme. Yeah, and I have the utmost respect for natural bodybuilders, because they have to endure times in a prep where they don't have the safety net almost of anabolic steroids to keep their muscle retention. But at the end of the day, the overwhelming population want to see massive freaks on stage with no body fat. Yeah. So and that's the way it's going to go. And I'm glad that the classic bodybuilding is making a comeback, which I think is fantastic. Yeah. Because I'd love to see 10 Chris Bumsteads on a stage compared to 10 Phil Hicks any day of the week. Yeah.
And I feel like the thing, like with people like Simeon Panna, like obviously he's like, oh yeah, I'm natural, like haha. But it's like, it's still like his physique is still like really fucking good, and it's like even though he's squeaky clean, like it's like he's still got a pretty good physique. It's like you can't just knock that.
I'm gonna say this. I reckon he's natural. By the way,
you literally fully know it.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. I love people when I say this, but he hasn't changed too much in 5 years. He's got them little traps on him,
Listen, I respect him and I respect his physique and I respect what he's built, but at the end of the day, you're a little bitch if you sit there and that video.
Oh, the one with Ulysses.
The video of him sees just like sitting down like two little petulant school children. Yeah, no one took steroids. Ulysses got on stage with the biggest gynecomastia I've ever seen in my fucking life, and you're going to tell me you're natural? You fucking pagan. Do you know what I mean? So, he might be natural now, but somewhere along the line he's juiced up to get himself to that size.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost like anyone. Like I had an argument with my friend the other day. Like people don't realize how many cunts like are on it and still deny it, and or don't even make it at least just don't say you're natural, because I feel like,
of course,
so many kids have so many unrealistic expectations of how jacked they can get, and like how much shit like they think works, and like how much like I sort of realized like when I started, I didn't realize like what worked, and it's so hard to differentiate between like like you look at you guys and like it's hard, like you wouldn't be able to tell like who's real, like, and it's like once you sort of figure it out, you can figure it out, but like when you first start,
there are telltale signs though. There are telltale signs of an anabolic steroid user. You know, it's quite apparent to guys in the industry like myself and Josh. We can sort of depict who is natural and who's not natural. You know, general fullness of muscle tissue, muscle bellies, the delts that look like tennis balls. You know, and don't get me wrong. There are some dubious ones, and Josh put up quite recently like a poll of certain people.
Yeah.
And he said, vote. Do you think this person's natural or not?
Yeah.
And a lot of the times that he put the athletes up, I put no, fuck no, is he natural? And the next story is this natural lifetime bodybuilder that's drug test. You think, fuck, that's incredible.
Yeah.
But it's all perception, because you see a lot of people that look big on pictures. But like I get it a lot of the time. Oh, you don't look big. You don't look big for a steroid user. Then I'll meet him at Body Power and they go, oh fuck, you're fairly decent. Yeah. So it's all perception.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of it is like lighting. Like I can look like 50 kgs in like some lighting, and then another lighting I can look like a Greek god. Like it's like stuff like that. It's like, and like with a pump, like I feel like there's so many variables just to taking a good picture now. It's like that's something that I think is like so crazy. Do you guys have any like tips and tricks to taking some like getting some sick angles and getting some like actual like good pictures, or like
film it?
If you film it, you can find the lighting just right, and you can just like constantly assess, and then you add about 25% structure, so people might think that's still real.
Yeah.
And then maybe bring the shadows down a little bit, and it's easy.
Sorted.
It's the reality of it.
Yeah, I feel like especially things like you can literally like my friend basically said like, oh bro, like you don't edit your pictures, do you? I'm like, yeah I do, just a little, just enough to make it like not too noticeable. And it's like I feel like if people think like no one's editing it, it's like you know, like what are you gonna not use that? And it's like you just make it look a little nicer and just add that little bit and all that sort of
Everyone
thing.
does it. Yeah. Everyone does it. Us coaches do it for clients to make our business look better.
Yeah.
You know, this is the game we're in. Let's not fucking beat around the bush. You want results. And 9 times out of 10, if you do put them side by side to when we started first coaching, there's a drastic difference. But we want to make them look better. Of course we do.
Yeah.
So we might say, oh, with your next progress picture, can you stand under that light and you know tense a little bit?
Yeah.
It's just playing the game, you know. And it gets more Instagram likes if you touch up the structure and you appear more vascular. It gets more. Yeah. It gets more Instagram likes, which gets more reach, which gets more followers, and that's the end goal. You know, don't hate the game.
Yeah. Well, okay, I don't want to go. I've been on here for like an hour and 15. Let's finish up with this. What would be your main advice for the average dude trying to get jacked and trying to like just have fun with it and like, but also like get results? And either if you would recommend that someone just goes all out, track everything, go ham, like do as much as possible, or would you recommend that they just sort of just chill and just do the basics?
Definitely an increment thing. So like depending on where you're starting, if it's literally a freshie, a complete newbie to the gym, like, you can't hit them with all those variables. They're going to run away. They're going to be scared. They're not going to have. They're like, if you talk about macros, it's like a different language to some people. They don't even know what you're talking about. I think we take it a little bit for granted in this day and age. We talk about actually understanding what carbohydrates do, fats do, and proteins do. A lot of people don't even know what that is. A lot of people don't even know that chicken has protein in it. It is quite bewildering, and it does make me question our schooling system a little bit as well.
Yes.
But generally, it's all going to start basic, one variable at a time. Even with my prep clients, we start one variable at a time. First, we track the diet down, then we put the training in, then we do the cardio, and we just see how each variable goes, how they take to it, how they react to it. Are they going up and down in weight? Are they sleeping better? How's the stress? You know, all these different variables. And you just collate them over time and just build them on and make things work the way they should be. And each person will have a different way it works. And you're only going to find out which way it works through feedback, just of always getting feedback, how you feel after a certain meal, how certain certain types make you feel, what side of the sofa, what will lead to a feedback, and from there you can build the perfect plan. But just taking it bit by bit and building things in.
Yeah, so true. It's so true. And if you are a beginner, get yourself a book, break it up into 3 parts: nutrition, training, supplementation, and maybe once a day. Follow the reputable guys in the industry. PubMed is your good friend. But I will recommend not to become too heavily involved with evidence-based practice, in the sense that you can become way too involved in reading a study that says it works, and then one study might say it doesn't work. So the biggest thing you can do is experiment on yourself. So if you're in a cutting phase, try carb backloading, try intermittent fasting. If you're in a bulking phase, try high fat low carb, or high carb low fat, and then just write down. Just logbook everything, how you're feeling, and then you've got the perfect formula. And it's taken me 3-4 years to find that formula. Like, honestly, it's for me to find something that finally works. And that is why I can't wait to go into an off season with the new drug knowledge that I have, with the new training knowledge and nutrition knowledge, and we'll blow up. But yeah, just yeah.
Sweet as. And where can people find you online?
I'm at Josh Bridgeman on everything. You can just type that in anywhere. I'll be there.
I'm the same, just TMCYCLES.
Sweet.
I'll be at Body Power as well.
Sorted.
If anyone's going to Body Power.
Same.
Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Student Side Hustle. I would appreciate so much if you would leave a review if you'd like to hear more of what I'm saying. Then I would love if you would follow me on Instagram or check out my other social media, all linked in the show notes. And again, I would just like to say thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful evening and study hard.